Hi there, it's Anne of Rosie Duck Designs here. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. I'm back to share with you another project using the Speciality Designer Series paper from the Blackberry Beauty Suite, which can be found on page 44 of the latest mini catalogue. The paper is absolutely gorgeous, and as I said in my previous tutorial when I used it, it really speaks for itself and does all the work. If you didn't have the chance to see that particular video, I will just share with you once again this lovely paper. I need no excuse to flick through it again, I have to be honest, because it's absolutely gorgeous. This is the sheet that we're actually going to be featuring today, but it's so pretty because it's got throughout each side of 6 designs, it's got this beautiful gold foil running through it. So we've got some birds and the gold foiling on here. Nice leaf design. I'm hoping the light is good enough to pick up the foiling element of it. I don't think it's going to be a problem with that one. It's more gold foil than anything. Lovely owls here. And as well as these sort of autumnal colours, there's also some really nice vibrant colours as well. This is the particular paper that we featured on the previous tutorial. I'm just flipping them over. There's some really lovely background papers to use. Again, a nice mix of the more sombre colours and some really nice vibrant colours. There we go. So as I say, this is the one we're going to feature today. I'm going to put that one to one side because I just want to share with you how I've actually used that. And again, just at the moment, because I'm still suffering a slight bit with my hand, I'm trying to keep things as simple as possible. So I'm letting the paper basically do most of the work. I'm also trying to mix up my card bases a little bit, and this time I'm using an early espresso card, which is going to pick out the early espresso element from the paper. So that is, as usual, my 8x6 scored at 4 on the long side. And that is the equivalent of 20x15 scored at 10 on the long side in the metric. So that's my base card. I'm mixing it as I did last time with the foils, the brush metallic even foils that you'll find on page 32 of the mini catalogue. Now these are lovely. They come in a mix of bronze, gold and copper, and once again I'm using the gold element because I want to pick out the gold that we can find in this paper. I've cut that at 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. I've covered up my normal metric measurements, but they are 9.5 by 14.5, and then I've got a piece of the paper. Now I've cut that at 3 1/4 by 5 1/4 because I want there to be a nice gold border around it. And as you can see with this, I've cut the paper in a way that I've cut a lot of this bit of the paper off, and I've also trimmed some paper off of here. So it's basically, you would cut the paper, assuming you're going to go with the portrait style, which I am in this instance, you would cut your paper along here at 3 1/4, and then you wouldn't go at 5 1/4. I would suggest that you cut it at 6, so 6 across here, so you're not spoiling anything up on this side, that you can use that again on a different project. But then basically, having got your 3 1/4 by 6 inch piece of paper, then just cut it down to what you want. You may want more of this plain piece of, or the plain colour, to perhaps put a sentiment in, or like me, you might want more of this showing and not so much of that. So I've trimmed my paper effectively. I've trimmed a bit off of here, but I've also, not sure if you can see that, trimmed a bit off of this bottom bit. So I've finished up with basically the design of the paper that I want. So it's not as straightforward. It's not complicated. I think I'm making it more complicated, but it's not a straightforward cut, is what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is aim for a size of 3¼ by 5¼ which, if I didn't say, is around 8.2 by 13.2 in the metric, and then just work out what bit of the design you want and cut the paper accordingly so that you finish up with the right bit of paper that you want to use. So I hope I haven't totally confused you, and I hope that that does make sense. So that's going to go on the front of the card. I've then decided that I'd mix it up a little bit, and I'm using some very vanilla cards for the inside. And once again, I'm not going to be stamping on that. I'm going to use one of the elements from the Ephemera Pack. Apologies if I've said that incorrectly, but I'm going to use that again to brighten up the inside. And I'm also going to use one of the other elements from the same pack. I'm going to put that on my envelope, but we'll do that in a moment. I've also, again, just heat embossed a very simple thank you sentiment onto a piece of early espresso, and I've just cut that out using one of the Stitch So Sweetly dies, which again I shared with you in the previous video. It's that one, so it's the second smallest one, and I've literally just cut that out, and that is going to be going on my card just down here somewhere. So that is it basically. The thank you, I believe, comes from the Polar Bear stamp set, which is a new stamp set in the mini catalogue. Again, of course, I've forgotten to bring that in, but I will clarify that on the front of the video, and it's well worth giving that stamp set a look, because it's a really nice stamp set. I haven't played with the polar bears yet, but I've used the sentiments quite a lot already. So let's just put this card together. I'll share with you the Ephemera Pack later, because as I mentioned in my previous video, mine has been quite well used, so it's in a bit of a mess, but it will give you a bit of an idea of what you actually get within that pack. I also mentioned heat embossing, and I'm hoping that by the time I actually have uploaded this video, I would have done a very brief basic tutorial on an introduction to heat embossing. I'm guessing that the majority of people who are kindly watching this video will know exactly what I'm talking about, so it sort of kind of feels like it's not a 5-minute process. I mean, I'm over exaggerating, but it just takes that sort of kind of unnecessary time, so I just thought it'd be more sensible to do it as a standalone little tutorial, just for anybody who is maybe just starting out and has at this moment in time no idea what I'm talking about. But you could mix this up if you're not into heat embossing. If you haven't got a die cut machine at the moment, you could always just use a plain piece of card and stamp on a sentiment that you want and just cut that out with a punch. So that's another way around it. So let's just put the card together. If I didn't say, I've cut that at 3½ by 5½. Again, that's a smaller size than I would usually use, so that's 9 by 14 centimetres in metric. Again, as in the previous card, I just wanted to show a little bit more of the border on there. So let's start with the middle. Just using my stamp and seal to stick this down. So I'm just going to centralise that. Trouble now that the evenings are drawing in rapidly, I started thinking I've got quite a lot of time now before it gets a bit dull and overcast, but suddenly I'm thinking, oh, it's already feeling a bit darker, but I'm hoping you're getting this. So again, I'm just going to stick my foil card. I'm going to be a little bit more generous with the glue on this. It's quite a big piece of foil to attach to the front of the card. So again, we're just centralising that as best as I can. And then we're going to add this piece into the middle of there. So we've got still quite a nice border of the gold, which in turn is picking out the gold elements in the paper. Now last time I resisted the wink of Stella, but I can't resist it for too long. So I'm literally just going to, on these little elements here, I'm just going to add just a touch of wink of Stella, so that in addition to the foil catching the light, the wink of Stella will do that as well. I think basically it just feels very wrong to me to make a card and not have wink of Stella on it, but there you go. I don't think for 1 minute this is actually going to show up, but as I'm just twisting the card in the light, I can just sort of see that, just that sort of delicate little bit of shimmer going on as well, which is complementing the shimmer effect of the gold foil. Just go over that again, good measure. There we go, put it away. And all I'm going to do is put then some stamping dimensionals on there. Preferably one that's actually stuck to a piece of the covering paper. I think 2 is going to be more than enough. Now if you had left more of this top colour, then you could perhaps put your sentiment along the top there. I've deliberately not left a lot of that colour, so I'm aiming for my sentiment to come down here. And I'm just going to pop that on there. So that's basically the front of the card finished. And then we're just going to pretty up the middle bit again with one of the elements from the Ephemera Pack. This is basically, I think, the one I used last time. And I'm just going to put some glue on the thicker elements so that it sticks. Don't need loads and loads of glue, we just need enough of it to stick onto the actual card. Obviously any glue that you're comfortable with. This is the best glue for me, it doesn't go everywhere. And as I mentioned on my last video, turn it over. Have you got any ink? Seriously. I don't mean ink, I mean glue. If you've got any glue where you don't want it, just use your paper piercer and just gently tease your way through that and it will come off. This is assuming you're using this sort of glue. It will come off either on your paper piercer, or you'll be able to use the point of the paper piercer just to make sure that your glue is pushed round to the back where you want it. So I'm quite happy that I've got enough on there to stick this little element. So that's just going to go on the corner there to pretty up the inside of my card. Again, I'm leaving it blank just so that I can write a message on that. And that's the front of the card. Now I'm going to use a coordinating very vanilla envelope, and because I'm not actually posting this, I wouldn't recommend this necessarily through the post because it might get damaged and possibly get ripped off, but I'm not actually posting this, so I'm again using one of these elements from the Ephemera Pack to just pretty up the envelope. I've got a bit more space here for the glue. This is an absolutely brilliant pack of various die cuts which you can use to build your projects with, and it's just so simple, no hard work whatsoever. And as I said on my previous video, you can basically make lots of really nice cards using this pack, your favourite sentiments, and the beautiful designer series paper. I'm just going to pop that. So I'll have it going slightly that way, I think. There we go. And that's it, job done. Pretty card and a pretty envelope with very little effort whatsoever. Some cutting out of card and a bit of sticking and a bit of heat embossing, but nothing too taxing whatsoever. Before I go, I will just share with you my rather battered Ephemera Pack. It is literally £5.50, so it's a real bargain. And as I say, you will find it as part of the Blackberry Beauty Suite on page 44 of the catalogue. So I apologise, it is in pieces, my version of it. But if you can see, it comes with various elements or die cut elements that just literally push out from the base card here. So we've got an owl, we've got some acorns, some nice floral cutouts, we've got some nice pretty labels that you can use to put sentiments on. You can even tie them on if you're using them as a gift or on the front of your cards. Got some gold elements. We've used these, but there's some full version of the gold elements here. Try not to rip this, it's basically stuck to that one. And we've got this one, which has got some really nice labels and other elements that you can put on your cards. So effectively there's one of these, there's two of those, the owl and the acorn belongs on there, and then we've got two of these, which I've managed to get this one caught. There we go. So we've got that one and we've got this one, so two of those. So lots and lots of different things, and I promise you when you buy one and it arrives in your order, it won't look anything like that. It will look very nice and tidy. So that is it basically. I'm just going to move this, dare I say, mess out of the way and finish with a nicer shot of the card that we've made. So I hope that's given you some ideas of how you can use this beautiful paper. Everything I've used is available and can be purchased by my online shop. So if anything's caught your eye, please head on over there. I will put the link as normal on the front of this tutorial. I'll also put the link to my blog where you can keep up to date with Stampin' Up news via my blog. So I think that is it. I will be back with more simple tutorials in the not too distant future. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you again very soon. But until then, please look after yourselves. Bye for now.